Greetings, adventurers. Today we're excited to introduce you to a new story, Dark Dice, a horror podcast that blurs the line between actual play and audio drama, where the story is determined by the roll of the dice. 6 adventurers embark on a journey into the ruinous domain of the Nameless God. They will never be the same again. One of the players is not what they seem after a doppelganger, a creature that can assume the form and voice of whatever it kills, infiltrates the team. As the players are picked off and replaced one at a time, can they figure out who the monster is before it's too late? Can you? In addition to a full-blown fantasy soundtrack with over 30 live medieval instruments and a 40-person choir, sound effects further enhance the story. Here's a quick example of what that sounds like.
The shambler with the jar of liquid inside of him.
Soren Arkwright let loose an arrow that cracked the glass, passing through the spine of the creature. The shambler still managed to maintain its forward momentum, but stumbled as it eagerly tried to bite and swipe at Soren, landing near his feet. As Rowena struck the shambling creature near Soren, she shattered the canister in its stomach, sending its liquid contents spilling to the ground. With a rush of liquid, the small fetus fell too, twitching and moving toward Rowena.
I'm gonna punt you.
Rowena launched the fetus into the mouth of the mimic with a kick.
So if you dare, gamble your sanity and subscribe to Dark Dice however you listen to podcasts, or on Spotify. Dark Dice can also be streamed at darkdicepod.com.
I am Ashra Beckett, though you will address me as Ms. Beckett. I am the member of the Arcane Brotherhood in charge of the Howling Ravine encampment. I came to the Icewind Dale to oversee the excavation under the Reghead Glacier, to search for, well, I'm really not at liberty to say. The details of the Brotherhood's operations are strictly need to know, and you don't.
Icewind Dale Corrupted, on Mondays from 6 PM to 9 PM BST at twitch.tv/adventurerswanted.
Welcome back, everyone, to Journey to the Obsidian Spire. In our last session, a great earthquake rocked the small desert town of Ultaruk, heralding the rise of Tir Rahman, a gargantuan yuan-ti wielding powerful defiling magic. The guards of Ultaruk and the Veiled Alliance fought together against the snake cult that worships Tir Rahman, and while the town was saved, Piramon himself fled from the city, snaking out into the silt and disappearing into the sea. Now, the Veiled Alliance stands at a bit of a crossroads. Many of their force died in the battle, and most of the caravan's supplies were lost. We rejoined them the next day in the silt and dust-filled ruins of Alteruk. As the villagers and guards work to sort of rebuild the town, as they always have, the Veiled Alliance prepares to set off on the next leg of their journey, the mysterious forest nation of Golg, ruled by the sorceress queen Lalali Poi. But we still have a couple of things to resolve in Alteruk before we go. So tonight, we're going to begin our story where we left off last session, with Marilla, as they look through the eyes of their familiar, their small black bird, Quarry. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, Sam. Hello.
Hi.
So, through Quarry's eyes at the end of last session, you witnessed the meeting in the council hall of Alteruk at the end of this long sort of political battle to determine who was going to be the next leader of House Wavir, and you saw the coronation of Yero Var, a coronation of a young dwarf that you, in part, helped to get elected, the new head of House Wavir in Balak. So, attending the meeting along with Yerevar was the guard captain Rohana Gwaine of House Tomblador, Lord Atlas, the head of House Sereno, Taruk, the head of House Jarko, and your father, Lord Lucius of House Akatia. But Quarry noticed something else too, something strange while flying overhead and around the building. You saw your father in two places at the same time, one in the council hall meeting, and also elsewhere, skulking into Alteruk's merchant quarters alone through a back alleyway. And you see him just for a moment in the alleyway, and then your line of sight breaks, and you're sort of forced to make a decision as we start today. So, what do you do?
How far is Merula from the merchants area?
Alteruk's a fairly small town, and the merchants' quarters are right next to the gate. So the caravan, what's remaining of it, is gathering at the gate, so fairly close.
Am I right that Find Familiar spells allow you to split senses? So, for instance, I could hear through Corey's ear whilst making my way downtown toward the merchants' quarters.
Absolutely, I love that.
I do that.
What's your intention? Is your intention to sort of reveal yourself to your father, or is it just see where he's going?
First the latter, and then possibly the former.
Okay. All right. You move through the merchant's quarters. You're able to hear as Quarry flying overhead, and most of the sounds of the town are the sounds of rubble and debris being pulled out of the way, repairs being made to structures as much as they can, at least trying to rebuild the wall, because without the part of the wall that the snake crashed through, there's just silt from the sea flying into the city and collecting everywhere. But Marilla, moving through the merchant's quarters, you do pass individuals. They don't pay you too much heed. You get a side glance as you're moving through the more populated section towards the area where you saw your father going. And you can roll me a stealth check and a perception check if you would like.
See, that will be an 18 on the stealth check and an 11 on the perception check.
So through Corey's ears, you can't determine any meaningful sounds. It's just the sounds of the town. You're making your way through the streets. You do slip off and go unnoticed, passing several groups of workers as they're moving back towards the gate. And you do see your father just once cross your path perpendicular, a couple of blocks down, moving quickly. You can move to catch up, but to catch up in time before you might lose him again, you might be at the risk of revealing yourself.
Might I make a quick investigation check? Because there is quite obviously something terribly strange afoot, and it seems rather akin to some kind of illusion magics, and I know that one can theoretically spot the differences of those with a little bit of investigation.
Absolutely. Go for it.
11.
You're just not sure if it's real, if one of the two figures is an illusion, if one of the two figures is like that thing that wasn't Cronkwall, but you're not sure.
All right. I would like to maneuver to entirely accidentally bump into my father. Bump.
Absolutely. You catch up to your father, revealing yourself in the process, and as you kind of turn the corner, you do crash right into him, and he takes a step back, and you see that he was maneuvering himself to climb into an open window, the house that you just turned the corner around, and he straightens himself up the way that he does, his shoulders rounding out. He folds his arms behind his back and squints down at you, and he says, "Marilla, what are you doing here?"
Can I see what, if anything, I did successfully pull off him in that bump?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for a sleight of hand check.
There it is. I believe that's a dirty 20.
Ooh. You managed to grab a small pouch that was hanging from his belt on a rope. And that pouch, you're not sure what's in it, but you can feel it in your hand. It feels like different things, different textures, different sizes. It's not coins.
I remember that he was purchasing things earlier, but I secreted down my sleeve. Father, I was just taking one last pass through the merchant's quarter to see if there was any particular supplies we might need before we get going. I know it's not going to be too terribly long now. What are you doing, my lord?
I'm purchasing supplies that we might need. It's strange. You're telling me the truth, aren't you, Marilla?
Why would you ask that, Father?
Roll me a deception check.
Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth. 22.
What is your passive insight?
10.
10. Okay. He just sort of shakes his head a little bit confused and says, "You don't have to worry about purchasing anything. You should just prepare yourself for the next leg of the journey. I've got this."
I understand. I was merely trying to show a little initiative, anticipate the needs of our house. You said you got things. Should I account for them on our inventory?
No, that's not necessary. I'm sorry that I've been distant lately, Marilla. I know that what happened last night here in Ulturuk must be terrifying. But now more than ever, I believe that our work together, it's more important than just our house. Things like that creature, If they are in Balak, if they have nested themselves into the other cities and other towns, then the economy of the entire world is at stake. All of the houses, not just ours. Are you all right?
I endeavor to exhibit the resilience of our house, my Lord Father. And I think I understand the stakes that you're talking about. It certainly, something of this scale would involve all of the house. When was that meeting? The other leaders of the houses, my Lord Father? Wasn't that now?
It's over now, I believe, and certainly I wasn't required there any longer.
May I make a check, please?
Yeah. Make an insight check.
It would help if he had, like, affect. That's a 9.
He looks down to you again, glancing just once to the window, just for a flicker of a moment, and says, "I'm proud of how seriously you've taken your responsibility. I did not imagine that you would have come so far so soon, but I think it is important, Marla, that you speak plainly to me. You don't have to endeavor to show resilience. You are my child, and I want to know what is in your heart."
Of course, Father. Should I escort you back to the caravans, then?
I'm troubled by the events of last night.
As are we all.
I might have perished if it weren't for Taruk pulling me out of the rubble. I've not been so close to death, my own death, in a long time. I believe, Marla, that I would just like a little time to myself, if that is amenable to you.
Of course, my lord. I'll shop the markets here then, on my own, and see you back there. And I bow, and I walk to the absolute right next stall, and begin to examine the merchandise. Right here.
That's the sound you hear as you walk away. There's a lingering moment where Lucius doesn't move, and then finally he turns around and begins to walk back the same way he came. And he takes a left around the building that he was previously standing in front of.
How far? How exposed to look in the window?
I mean, you could peek over. You can make me a stealth roll to try to not be seen by anybody. Like, wait until people are crossing down the street. This is a fairly quiet area. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, yes. Yes, I would like to do that very much, please. Thank you.
Go for it.
14 plus 11, 25.
So you wait for the right moment. You hear some kind of sound. It sounds like something crashing inside the building while you're waiting, and then a small crowd passes, leaving this street empty again. And as you sort of peer over, you can see, not in the room just inside this building, but through the hall, another room. And you can see movement there. You see several black-robed individuals standing up, scattering around. You hear another crash, and then you see your father inside the room with them, just in that archway. He raises a hand into the air, and spins his fingers around in a circle, and cants a word. And you watch one of these black-robed individuals rise up into the air, and a moment later explode. A splatter of limbs and cloth. And your father goes over to the remains just there in that archway, perfectly framed, and bends down, digging through what remains of the figure's robes. He pulls out 2 hand-sized obsidian orbs with runes scrawled into them in a circle, which you would recognize as being pretty standard runes of writing. This is how somebody might write down spells or events. And he turns the runes over in his hand. He spins the ball to read it. He picks up the second one. He spins the ball slowly to read it. And he looks down to his belt, and you hear him curse underneath his breath when he doesn't find the pouch. His eyes shoot up, looking all around him. Are you sticking around?
I duck down under the window. I want to move a little farther away.
Okay. Are you sticking close to the wall?
I think perhaps back an alleyway, the next building over. I'm going to cast Mage Hand.
Okay. What do you want to do?
To try to get a new angle. I'm going to wait long enough to see if I can see him leave, and then try to pocket something left behind, if there is such a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hear, as you're sneaking away after you duck beneath the window, footsteps slowly coming towards the window from within the home. And as you get off to the next block over, you see Lucius at the window. He sets his arms against the stone, and he leans out and he looks around warily. And then he ducks back in once again, and you don't see him again. But some time passes, and if you wanted to investigate, you could. If you wanted to use Mage Hand to look for something, you could.
Yes, I use it to give me the distance, the remove. So I'm not going in there with whatever it might be, but I'm trying to get angles through doorways and windows to see if I can get my hand, whether he left something behind, that orb or something else.
Yeah. Through the windows, as you're kind of checking around the side of the building, trying to find the right angle, you can see a little bit more of this room. It looks like perhaps it was a kitchen, but it's been cleared out. There is, it's very similar to a room that you found the previous night when you were running through buildings. There is a strange symbol carved into the ground, a circle of unlit candles, some sort of altar or pile of a mix of human and animal bones in the center of that symbol. And you see on one wall a frozen body, a frozen humanoid form wearing black robes, their entire body filled and cast over with ice, their hand broken off. You see the remains of the figure that exploded, and roll me an investigation check.
21.
You search around the room and you have to pry it out of the frozen figure. It's like attached to the wall, like frozen to the wall with their face agape. A small, not as large as the other, but a small orb, an obsidian orb that's also frozen over. You can hear the cracking sound as you peel it out of his hand with your mage hand spell. And then his body shatters and begins to topple down into a pile of frozen limbs on the ground. And this small orb slowly floats over to you at the window.
Can I read the runes?
Roll me an Arcana check.
$19.
It's pretty good. You're able to tell some of them. You're able to determine that this is a spell that you might be able to learn, but it's pretty complex. It definitely has something to do with the ability to change shape, to alter your form in some way. With some time, you might be able to learn this spell.
I add that to the mysterious collection of arcane objects I have found by following my morally upstanding and all-righteous father.
And
is
you can
my
tell
father
now for
incidentally
sure.
also in a council room right now? Still?
Are you checking back with Corey?
Yes.
So here's what you see. The council ends and everyone begins to depart except for the local politicians. So Lord Atlas, Taruk, your father, they all leave. Taruk and Lord Atlas head back in the direction of the gate, and your father excuses himself. You see him gesturing as though to excuse himself, and he turns to walk around a corner. As he does walk around that corner, out of everyone's line of sight, he just vanishes. He's there one moment, not there the next.
I have to talk to Van. He might know what kind of spell would do that. Maybe he just translocated or something. Maybe Van will know how to figure out which one is real. I should get back.
Nobody's noticed your activities. You've done this very quietly. You don't see your father leave as you begin to head back, and you can add a spell orb and a component pouch to your inventory. Cool. So as you're heading back, let's return now to the gate, and I want to check in with Dia, the quartermaster of your caravan. Diadella. The caravan continues to prepare, continues to prepare for the journey, and you've had your conversation with Akasha, and you've talked to the others as well. And once the caravan's about ready to go, that's when Taruk approaches you. And Taruk, the Terry, so the rat folk, but very muscular. Also now, because of the dye that you gave him, large patches of his fur are blonde instead of dark brown. And he has taken the time today, despite all of the activities, all of the problems of last night, to really like make himself look fine. He's done his hair and his fur. He's groomed himself very well. He's tried to style his haphazard patches of blonde to make them look like he meant for them to be there. And he approaches you wearing a purple fine silk robe. It's cut down the chest with a large V shape. and he just sort of like leans against the side of the Mechalot, the one remaining beast of burden in your caravan that survived the night, and just sort of calls over to you and says, Dia, do you have a few minutes to talk?
Of course, Taruk. Where shall we go?
Oh, here's fine. I figure we can hash this out pretty easily. How are you doing?
Well, last night was quite the incident.
It was, wasn't it? It was very exciting, but very perturbing at the same time.
An
I heard
exceptionally...
that you were a great help to House Jarko.
I was present.
Have you thought about what comes next now that we've lost so much? I imagine we have to make some difficult decisions.
I rather had, actually. I believe we carry some weight in this caravan, which is not necessary. Now that we've been to Taruk, perhaps some of the other houses may wish to return to Balik, or somewhere else. Not everyone needs to be present, and if anything, everyone's present just raises questions and draws attention, and might rather interrupt the expedient nature with which I would like to finish our business. On which note, I did have an idea. Since our poor beast of burden was lost, how about we move to the ship?
The Desert Drake, well, I wouldn't mind feeling the wind whip about my fur, I suppose, but it can't hold everyone.
What a shame.
We do still have one Mechalot.
Well then, anyone who doesn't fit on the ship can go to that. And anyone who doesn't fit on that can go home.
And who would you suggest goes home? Yeah.
Well, I have some grave concerns regarding a number of the houses being present here, last hopes and all that. It has been treacherous, and we've only made it as far as Taruk. Could you imagine if something were to happen? There is a fine balance that must be maintained.
I'm listening.
Well, Kasha wished to be involved in politics, and perhaps her interests would be better served in a city. Politics comes from polis, after all. And of course, there's House Akasha. Perhaps the Lord might be better served if he were somewhere safe as well. Could you understand, Taruk, should anything happen, the eyes would fall upon House Jarko, who, whilst not officially everyone's protector, does represent the protectional force here on the caravan. Just as the council was supposed to protect Taruk and failed, it would be tragic if such an event were to happen to the rest of the caravan after we leave here.
I have to admit, Dia, I find your mind fascinating. And I appreciate your thoughts here. I want Lord Lucius to stay. I hope you don't mind my saying so. I want him close.
Not at all. Close enough for a handshake or for a dagger? Or both?
Close enough to get to know him better, let's say.
Taruk, your infatuations with individuals has always been very entertaining for me. You have a knack of finding the most interesting of people. It's always unexpected.
Well, I try. I suppose at one point in my life, someone found me interesting, and that's why I'm here now. As far as the rest of the caravan goes, I've done a count, and we have 14 wounded guards and servants. Certainly they cannot come with us. They would slow us down. We don't have enough food for all of them. We don't have enough water for all of them. We could take the Desert Drake with a smaller crew, but if we were to send the rest back to Balak, we would have to send them on the Beast, on the Mechalot. And if we were to do that, then we would have to give up our guards, the ones that remain. We could bring with us the Elvish runners of House Tsalaxa. They don't need beasts to keep up in the desert. They're fast enough on their own.
Unfortunately, not too effective. But you're right. We would miss so much entertainment if we sent everyone away.
Our
Besides,
next steps.
we couldn't be seen to send anyone anywhere. Would appear power play.
I do believe that the future of Balak greatly demands that we learn to work together, with the exception of those who refuse to play nice. Those weeds we can root out over time as we spot them.
Never had you down for a gardener, but I dare say you know the business of politics far better than I. You are head of a house.
I'm many things, but first and foremost, I am hungry. So perhaps a breakfast before we get going this morning. I'm sure we have enough food for that.
I'm sure we do, and I am told Altaruk does some wonderful spice dishes. You're feeling brave.
I'm always feeling brave. Will you join me?
I think I will. And she'll slide her hand into the crook of his arm, just presumptively expecting it to be offered.
He gives a big, ratty smile, and he swaggers away from the Mechalot, arm in arm with you, moving towards the market, just like easily maneuvering around people who are working to rebuild the town, aware that there's not a lot of time before the caravan's set to leave again, but he's not hurried. And he does say to you before you sort of leave the caravan area, have you learned anything that you think I should know? I feel left in the dark in so many things recently.
Something I think you should know. I think you should know that the hopes of the houses may be more capable than they are given credit for. And also that you look very fine in purple. I don't believe I've seen you in it before.
I believe it's my new favorite color. I'm going to embrace it. As
Compliments
far
the
as
gold.
Thank you for that. I'm growing quite fond of it.
And as agreed, I will of course help you even it out.
I appreciate you. I actually am quite fond of the next generation of leaders. I've seen them work in several very stressful situations, and I've been impressed. But the parents, well, if you learn anything, I would be very grateful to know. I can trust you, right, dear? You would never lie to me or keep anything from me.
I would never let anything bad happen to you or House Tsalaxa. And you're right about parentage, but not everyone. In fact, no one lives forever. Not even Caesar, remember.
Well, you can't fault someone for trying.
Is that your intention, Taruk?
Oh. I wouldn't even know where to begin. But if I did, then yes, of course.
I have an idea. I would like to make something for you.
Oh.
I am an artist, not just a bookkeeper, not just someone who listens and enjoys your company. I do have a trade.
Well then, I'll look forward to seeing it when it's ready. Not a moment before.
I intend to make it a very fine gift. Friends are important, Taruk. And it is important they are remembered. And recognized. Stand aside, won't you? She comments to someone as they pass. This is Taruk of House Tsalaxa. And she smiles at him, knowing she's just like playing for shit at this point.
Yeah. The two of you cross, you have breakfast, you cause the caravan to leave late, but you do have a nice time before the group sets out again. And let's move forward.
Dawn, can I make a final thing to Taruk? She is going to promise him the captain's quarters on that ship. I imagine there's always like the master bedroom on a ship. That's gonna be his. She makes this. She's gonna promise him. She'll find a way to get him that room.
Yeah, he just sort of laughs at that because he's seen the ship, but he doesn't spoil it for you. But I will, because that's where you're heading next.
Yeah.
The ship itself, the Desert Drake. Imagine a ship that's about 3 to 4 times the size of like a large rowboat. Right? It does have a single cabin, but it's not like a sleeping cabin. It's got like a desk on the inside and like maps posted up on the walls, and it sails via the power of the element of air from the plane of air. As a parachute behind it that kind of like blows out into the wind and slows it down, and it hovers just off the ground. It's very fast, but it's not very large. It can't fit that many people. But that is the path that the caravan has decided to take. So we're going to bring
terrible shame. People can't all fit on there. I'm truly hurting about this. Very important we include everyone.
So welcome back, everyone, to Dark Sun. So we're going to move a little ahead in our story now, just to sort of describe to you the journey. The journey from Ultaruk to your next destination, which is Fort Kalvis. It takes you across large swaths of desert roads that intersect at different points, and they all lead to different city-states. There's markers in the desert to point you in the directions of the most massive civilizations in the Tablelands, the cities that rival the size of Balak. And you travel along this road washed with silt and sand. 2 long days, hot days, beneath the sweltering sun, setting camp up at night on the edge of the desolate salt flats known as the Great Ivory Plain. And on your final day of travel, the sun's reflection off the salt flats is nearly blinding during the day. You have to, on this ship that you're all on, this Desert Drake, which is very tight quarters now. It's all of you, Lord Atlas, Lord Lucius, Van, Taruk, Ntak, and the other gladiators have been sent back to Balak with the wounded to get them back to the city and get them tended. So your current guard is now the House Tsalaxa, elvish runners who are running as fast as they can through the roads and through the desert to keep up with your ship. With your water supplies being rationed carefully and your food quickly dwindling, you're going to reach the edge of Fort Kalvis at night. You can see in the distance the fort, the stony towers of this stone fortress, and a gate that is just barely illuminated by the glow of lanterns that spray out from inside the fort. You can see rising from the center of the fort the silhouette of a massive bone bell tower. As Taruk and Lord Lucius slow down the flying ship that's sailing above the actual road, they begin to discuss the next steps, stopping in Fort Kalvis for the night, possibly resupplying before traveling the rest of the way to Golg starting tomorrow. So you all find yourselves together again, and you've had time to have conversations, you've had time to think about things. I just want to sort of check in with each character, see where they're at, see if there's anything they've been up to, and then we'll keep playing. So let's start then with Akasha.
Hello.
Hello. So you've been traveling for a couple of days, having left Ultaruk behind. You're now on this sort of magical ship that is moving very quickly through the desert. You still have your grandfather with you in this smaller crew now on the ship with you. You have to stop to set up camp at night. The Elvish runners are currently the only really guards that are still remaining. The rest have been sent back to Balak to care for the wounded. How's Akasha been processing these past few days? What's she been up to?
Akasha's been in a bit of a... I don't want to say a very her state of processing things, but she's channeling all of her stress and issues that she doesn't want to deal with and all of her fears into just completely organizing the boat. Like, to the point where her grandfather is moderately annoyed by everything that she's moved, and she's reorganized his 2 pairs of shoes that he has with him, and she's upset because all of the shoes that she purchased for him, he has decided are not essential to travel because he wants to be respectful of everyone else's space, and she is not happy with him right now.
So I love this. And on the ship, you have to keep your supplies, your food, your water, what remains, your clothes, your personal belongings. And you've got that one cabin that I imagine is just like, no matter how much you organize it, right? Like, there's just not enough space for what you have. And you don't even have everything you want to have with you. You've had to send so much back to Balak. Some of it, maybe the Elvish runners, like I'll carry an extra, I'll carry an extra sack for you as I run, so that you have some more of your things. But it's spread out everywhere. You've got Elvish runners who are trying to follow behind you, running on the road with sacks. You've got things stuffed together with these other houses now. Everyone's very cramped together. Let's say that there's a conversation between Akasha and her grandfather. And it's when he is like just completely overwhelmed. He's very uncomfortable. And like Akasha, he's not used to not being comfortable. And you can see that he's fussing on the inside. You can hear like the clattering of things inside that tiny cabin, and knowing that he's in there trying to find something or trying to move something around, probably messing up everything that you've done to organize it.
Grandfather, I love you dearly. Please explain to me why everything is out of sorts. What are you looking for? How can I help you? How can I make this not happen?
I'm going to see a sorceress queen, and I can't even find my comb. I'm not going to look presentable. She's going to laugh at our house? This is our first time that Golg will have ever met House Sereno, and I don't even have any proper shoes, Akasha.
I am reminded of someone who told me that shoes were not important and not an essential of travel, so they were left behind. Even though most things are burned, now there's a set of shoes that could have served this purpose. And now you have nothing. I'm sorry. I'm not upset with you. I'm not upset with you. There's just so much that's happening, and I'm trying to be understanding. But did you say you were going to meet with the sorceress queen? And I take that to mean that you're representing our house for this?
Well, I'm certain that they'll be expecting me to present myself.
Grandfather, if we're going to move forward with the new legacy of House Sereno, with me at the head and you as my right hand, we have to communicate about these things.
Do you think that I'm too old to stand in front of a queen and speak for our house?
I just find it very frustrating that that's your first assumption, is that I think you're too old. It's not that you're too old. It's just that if we're going to present a changing of the guard, then we should make these decisions together. I don't think you're too old. I think you're one of the most competent and amazing people that I've ever met and known in my entire life. And I respect your opinion. I respect the way that you rule, the way that you govern. But I need you to trust me and to include me on these things. I'm doing the best that I possibly can with everything that's happening. And the last time that I went to present, the ground starts shaking and everything starts falling apart, and you expect me to just be okay with you making a decision without talking to me?
Akasha, everything that's happening to you is happening to everyone here. To me. To your friends out there. The pressures you feel, we're all feeling them. I'm sorry that we haven't come up with a plan to present you to the Queen. I'm sorry that I'm agitated about my shoes. I know they're not that important. Yeah. I'm just scared. I'm scared of those creatures out there. I'm scared of the Queen we're going to see. And I'm scared that I haven't done my best to prepare you. That I can't protect you.
Scared. I'm ready. I can do this. I just need you to trust me, and it doesn't feel like you trust me when you do these things behind my back, and I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm not built for this, but I'm trying to be.
My dear, I trust you more than anything in this world. And I know that you are built for this. You've been waiting for this your entire life. But if you're to be the wonderful leader that you want to be, that I know you will be, you have to see others' pain and care about that pain even more than your own. It is a lot to ask, I understand, and I'm sorry that we haven't spoken We will present you to the Queen. I will present you to the Queen. We will stand together. We are House Sereno together.
How do you keep caring when everything's falling apart and everything is literally crumbling beneath your feet, including the ground, and you're supposed to be all of these things to all of these people, and how do you just not want to crumble with the ground?
One moment. He turns and he begins to dig through some bags, trying to look for something. He pulls something out and he digs a hand into a bag. He fishes around inside of it. And he pulls out this small rectangular box made of maybe flint, stone. And he slides it open very slowly. And he pulls out this strange golden flower. And the edges of this flower are laced with a rainbow of colors, each petal a different color on its edge. And he slides it closed again, and he puts it back in the box. He steps over towards you, and he holds up the bloom. And he says, everything that this world has been through, brought to the very brink of ruin by magic. And still, even in the desert, this blooms. I gave this to your grandmother a long, long time ago. Every year, we would give it back to each other, a gift, a reminder that she was mine and I was hers, and that there is beauty in this world. It must be tended. There is hope in this world, and it must be tended like a garden. It must be fought for and cared for. And that hope, Akasha, it's not a flower. It's people. It's always been people. And when the world is crumbling around you, remember that it has crumbled before. It will crumble again when we are all gone. And there will still be people caring for people, now and always.
It's crazy to me that you can look at things like that and still not believe that magic is a good thing.
Some kinds of magic are good. Some kinds of magic are bad. And all magic in the world, it moves through the mouths of the people who speak it. That's what I believe. He extends the flower towards you.
I'm really sorry that I yelled at you.
Oh, it's all right. I am sorry that I threw a fit about my shoes. They don't matter, I suppose.
Can you do something for me?
Anything.
For all the love that you bear me, please don't let that be what you're wearing.
I thought this was the best. But you can Pick what I wear if you want. I trust you.
You should.
I do. With that, he goes to pulling out what remaining clothes he has so that you can spend some time laying out some proper outfits for him for when he sees the queen. Let's check in now on Ebo. Ebo. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
So, after the event with Yuan Ti, after you survived being underneath the ground and exploring there and then seeing this thing rise and then facing it, it's been several days of travel before you reach Fort Kalvis. How would Ebo be spending his time? What's some of the things that he's thinking about? What do you want to share?
I think Ebo is he knew that in that battle with the snake entity that there was preserving magic that happened, but I don't think he figured out from where. So he thinks it might be someone in the caravan, and I think he would spend some time trying to figure out who else is attuned or can cast magics, I guess, is what he's trying to do.
Okay. Roll me an investigation check.
Oh, I will do that really quickly. That was the one thing I forgot. I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting something today. I should open Roll20. Open up Roll20, folks. Roll20 is great. All right.
While you're opening it too, before you make that roll, I do want to ask you one more thing about Ebo. What does he think of that near-death experience, that dream he had where he saw his village in multiple phases, and then he saw that obsidian plane, that strange device, that green fire from the sky?
I think it's put a spark in Ebo in the sense of Ebo doesn't know whether or not the spark that he's gotten is because he's more devil may care about life because he was accepting in that moment, or that moment happened to him and so he wants to live life more passionately, or at like he doesn't want to hold back as much, I think, from that encounter, and like the near deaths experience that he has been having, and it just invigorates him, gives him a spark of youth. He seems a little more upbeat.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the vision that he saw, I think every night when he tries to go to sleep, he tries to keep that thought in his head to see if, I don't know, to think it through. As far as like the green comet, like he doesn't know what it means, but he tries to think about that and keeps it to himself. I don't think he like shares any of that with anyone to figure out what it all means.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me that investigation check and roll me a history check as well.
All right. Pull this up and investigation. That is, gotta roll down because everything's okay. So that was a 5 for the investigation, and the history is a 22.
So, in terms of trying to determine who is a magic user, unless somebody absolutely outs themselves, uh, you're not able to determine if anyone here during these couple of days is an arcane magic user, where that preserving source of magic came from, whether it was from one of the locals or it was from one of your own, who might have been working against defiling Yuan Ti. You're not sure, but you are being observant. You can continue to observe as time goes on. In terms of trying to piece together your vision, the green comet, it doesn't mean anything to you. Maybe it's a symbol, but you've seen it twice now, and you're pretty sure you were awake the first time you saw it. The second time was more of a dream. The strange device that you saw on that obsidian plane, just sort of to recap briefly, your vision took you to this area of obsidian that was basically mountains of obsidian, lakes of frozen obsidian. It looked like geography that had been transformed into pure obsidian. And in this geography was a horde of unliving creatures, undead, some of them spectral, some of them still holding on to their physical forms perhaps they held in life. The device itself, alien to you, but over time, as you've had time to sort of think about it, you believe that you might have an idea of what this place was. You've never been there yourself, but there are old tombs from ancient times before the world was changed that spoke of a land to the south, far to the south, and a powerful, very powerful wizard or some sort of being there, a king, who tried to resist the sorcerer-kings of the time, who tried to resist the changing world, and created his own form of magic. Something happened, some sort of accident, and that entire nation, that entire portion of the world, became imbued with energy from the negative plane, became a cursed place filled with death. The history books just call them the Deadlands. And while many expeditions have gone to explore it, none have ever returned. You've never seen it up close, but over time, you think that that place you saw in your dreams might have been the Deadlands.
Ebo, I would like to see if there is, because we're on this journey, and I'm assuming we're being led by someone, or someone's really wise with navigation, and so I want to do that. And I also, you've spoken to a different sort of magics. Would Ebo know what that was? Was it something different from defiling and preserving entirely?
We'll say with a 22, because a 22 is pretty good. There are a lot of theories, and there were theories written in tomes and stone tablets from ancient days that have been translated. And like with many old translations, words get lost. They get confused. Sure. The meaning of the original author is heavily debated amongst scholars and wizards. But some of them theorized that the source of the magic came from another plane. There are arguments that perhaps it came from the plane of Earth, and that's what caused the Great Calamity. Some arguments that they came from a place called the Gray. And I think, Ebo, you would be familiar with the idea of the Gray. And yes, that whoever the king was, and whatever their source of magic, it definitely was not defiling or preserving. Whether or not it was the Gray or an elemental plane is debated, but I would say with your knowledge and speculation, Maybe the strongest inclination might be that it's a magic directly from the gray.
Okay. Is there someone in the caravan that I can go to that either I think may have a map or extended map or knowledge of maybe not going there because no one's come back, but even getting close? I figured I'd probably just speak to like various people in the caravan.
So the most well-traveled and also sort of leading the caravan now that it's gotten smaller and smaller probably would be Taruk and Lord Lucius. One of those two.
Okay. I'm probably going to go to Taruk because I've interacted with Taruk before, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I would say you can catch him maybe during camp one of the nights once the ship is stopped and people depart and they've actually like spread out. And I think people spread out at camp a little bit more than normal because they're so tight and confined on the ship during the day because it's such a small ship that they're just looking for the chance to kind of get away. And you'd find Taruk like off on his own. He's got a tent set up. He's got a fire set up. He's roasting something at it. And he's just kind of basking in the desert wind as you approach.
Yes, I approach and... Taruk, can I have a moment?
Oh, yes, of course, Ebo. Come on, sit down, relax. What can I do for you?
Oh, thank you. I'll just like shift my robes as I sit down. I've recently had a vision, or a dream of a old tale. How familiar are you with the Deadlands?
I've heard the stories, of course. I've even employed a few individuals who got it in their heads that once their gladiator careers were over, they would go out and explore the Deadlands for themselves. I never saw them again, of course. Why do you ask?
I just look around to see if anyone's paying attention or if I got the attention of anyone because we're more spread out.
No, let's say that nobody's really paying you attention at the moment.
Well, I had quite, I guess, a nightmare that I was there, I think. I think I might have seen something that not many people have seen before.
Interesting. And do you put much stock in your nightmares? Do they mean something to you, Ebo?
I want to do an insight check to see how much I can trust Taruk, in a sense of this is Ebo's like first major outing with people he doesn't know, and so it's kind of hard to figure out who to trust. But he wants to, Ebo kind of feels on his lonesome, so he kind of wants to check if Taruk has any signs or any tells that he may have like any sort of malicious intent in anything.
He's leaning a little bit closer. Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Sure. A 9.
He's leaning a little bit closer in a conspiratorial way, perhaps, but it sort of seems like just typical Taruk posturing in a way. He doesn't seem aggressive or like he's trying to trip you up necessarily. He seems interested.
And what was the question he asked me? Sorry.
He asked you if you put much stock in your nightmares.
I believe I saw an illusion of a sign that I had in my dream. saw this either a real life event or this illusion before my dream. So it seems quite strange that one event connected so clearly between the two.
Interesting. Well, I don't know much about the Deadlands myself, I must admit. But I could understand why it might be interesting to you.
Oh. Well.
I pick myself up and like dust off my robes.
Well, maybe after all this, maybe I should take a look myself.
And I nod over to Taruk, see if he has anything else.
You know, I have a nightmare that's been on my mind quite often recently, too. A terrible dream. It's haunted me since I was a boy. Do you read dreams? Is that something that you have a talent for?
No, I haven't studied dreams. I hardly have them myself, so this was quite odd. But nevertheless, I'm still interested in what this continuous dream that you've had throughout your life.
I dream that I am far, far beneath the city of Balak, in the depths of the aqueducts, a secret place that no one knows about and there's no life. I dream I'm so small and so young, and I dream of men standing in a circle, chanting, staring at me, casting their spells on me. I dream of the face of Caesar flickering their spectral light, the leader of this circle of men. I dream of change. I dream of being unable to escape. It's a terrible dream, really. I feel powerless in it. I don't feel powerless when I'm awake, though. I look at every day, Ebo. It's an opportunity. An opportunity. But I never forget, either. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes, well, I wouldn't forget. It seems that these dreams, some weird ways, leaning themselves to reality. That event in Altaric seems to be, well, from what I saw, maybe, a sign from your dream.
Perhaps. It has made me wary of magic. I try to be understanding. I want to tell you this.
I will. I'll dust myself off again and take a seat. Because I was expecting like to take leave, and I'm just going to kind of get settled in.
Yeah. and leans down a little bit. I'm telling you this because we need everyone we have. We've already lost most of our caravan as it is. And I try my hardest to trust. But it's hard for me, Ebo. What is it you want? Why are you here? Why should I trust you?
Well, I apologize for your distaste in magics. To be honest, I was looking to make sure that my village of Villery would be in safe hands, and I asked for your trust in the sense of the way that Villery has grown things has been a nod to these magics, well thought out, well established, and communal magics that benefit the people in the land.
I can understand your perspective. I truly do. I'm sure that many who use such tools believe the same. They only seek to grow something.
Well,
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, Ebo. I just wanted you to know that I know. And I wanted you to know why, if I seem distrustful, well, it comes from an earned place in my case.
To which I completely understand. There are many rulers that seem to have abused and try to acquire power and not distribute it to the people. And in my case, I couldn't be any further away from that. But to which your distrust, that is completely acceptable.
I have to admit, I'm glad we had this conversation. It had been gnawing the back of my mind for several days, and I find you very interesting. I'll say that I'm glad you're with us for now. If there's anything you need for Villery when this is over, if you're true to your word, I will be true to mine. I will help however I can.
Likewise, you may ask the same from me, and if there's any way that Villery can be of benefit to you, our community will gladly share.
There is something you could do if a situation were to arise that would certainly cement you in my mind as an ally. If we were to learn, for instance, that one among us was one of these shapeshifters, or perhaps even one of these wielders of magic who abuse their power, who take from the earth. If there was a confrontation, why, you could stand on my side. We could rip out the weed and ensure the safety of your village and Balak. That would prove it to me.
If such occasion arises, and surely they are using their magics for evil gain or self-gain. You will find myself on your side.
Excellent. I'm very glad to hear that. Would you like some food for the night?
Oh, but of course.
Pulls up the lizard that's been roasting in the fire, like slowly takes it off of the stick, and he cuts it up. He takes the time to properly dice it, put it on into a bowl. He mixes it with some spices and just a little bit of sauce that he's brought with him from Altaruk. Very quickly around you, just circling it. And he offers it over to you, and you can smell the sweet and the heat from the meat rising up out of the bowl, the steam. He says, "Please enjoy yourself and take it easy. I know this is not a comfortable leg of the journey, but we're almost there. And again, I'm glad we had this conversation."
I as well, and you seem well-traveled, and I've known to put some miles on these leathers.
And I kind of gesture to my worn sandals, or desert sandals, as it were.
Enjoy your evening, Ebo. We'll speak again soon.
You as well.
Ebo's gonna, he's just gonna probably just rejoin the group or just eat and hang out.
Cool. In that case, let's check in with Horson. Horson.
Oh, hey there.
Oh, hey there. So, before we arrive to Fort Kalvis and sort of bring everyone together, since leaving Altaruk, you've parted ways with Ntak and most of the gladiators, because it was decided that the wounded and the wounded servants, the wounded gladiators, and the other guards were going to head back to Balak, taking with them the Mechalot. And it's been 2 long days of journey since then. Is there anything that you wanted to zoom in on and play out, or anything you wanted to kind of do with your time in Horson during the journey?
I feel like the first thing, since he's still security and he's losing the folks that he trusts the most, he's going to try to ingratiate himself into the Elven runners, kind of learn what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how they prefer to fight with this ship, and then them running, genuinely how it exhausts them, from a tactics standpoint, if it's better to do the old snake training method where it's you have a couple jog and then you have one person sprint to the front and then is in the front of the row, and then it sinks back a little bit, so you exert yourself to a very strong point and then relax for a little bit, so everybody's not sprinting full speed. But trying to learn a little bit about the tactics, and in doing so, in the downtime between that, he is trying to make some time for himself.
Sure. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Regarding the Elvish runners, is the goal just to kind of get used to their capabilities and how they are organized, or is it to sort of ingratiate yourself with them as well, since you are still head of security?
Right. Strictly from a tactics standpoint, since he would hope that they would comply with any sort of security orders. So he'd want to learn too, what in addressing them in a manner, kind of open his eyes, get some feedback from them.
Okay. Roll me, let's call it an investigation check and a performance check.
Okay. 10 on the investigation.
Strong.
21 on the performance.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so it's only been a couple of days, and you've tried to pick up new things about how they're organized. You're familiar to some extent with how Elvish runners fight, both as a singular, fighter and in a unit. They tend to not stop running. They use a weapon called a long blade, an Elvish long blade, which is sort of like a long scimitar. And they also fight with bow and spear, mostly bow. They're very, very accurate shots. That's what they have, a reputation to be. And they can even shoot on the run, which is very difficult to do. So when they fight, they tend to use their speed to break apart so that they're not standing close together and swarm around their opponent to try to hit in a rhythmic fashion. So that's kind of how they fight. They split up, they run in, crisscrossing from different ways. They mix it up melee with, ranged attacks very effectively. They communicate very well with each other. And most, groups, most bands of Elvish runners, they're also hunters, and they've hunted together for a long time. So they're very, very familiar with each other. They have very, very tight-knit sort of friend structure amongst their group. The 21 performance, you have managed to start to ingratiate yourself a little bit, but in terms of learning how to best, command them in the moment, you still feel like you're far away. This is not like a comfortable group for you necessarily to have to command.
And he would,
they're also
then he would
not
back off.
necessarily
back off.
allied. Yeah.
Right. They have a unit thing. He would recognize that he could ruin it if he tries hard, and he doesn't want to do that. But as he's learning this, as time goes on, he's spending a lot of time with the elves, and then the times that he's not spending with the elves, he's spending by himself, and you could see that there's some sort of his posture's different, and at the second day out, you can kind of see his eyes kind of sinking in, and getting shadowy, and he's just there's something eating away at him that wouldn't be difficult to notice.
Okay. Let's say that Taruk would approach you. Maybe you almost go an entire day without speaking, even though you're supposed to be working closely together. He would notice that you are looking distant and upset. And during camp one night, he sort of sits down next to you. He has a long pipe that he often smokes from. He takes a strong draw from the pipe and offers it over to you. He says, "Are you holding up okay, Horson? I'm a little worried about you."
Yeah, fine. And no thanks, I'm not out here, not with just a ship. Appreciate your offer, though.
Is there something on your mind? You seem distracted, and I hate to ask twice, but we have to stay focused now, my friend.
Yeah. You remember Baru?
Of course, I tried to sign her. She shot me down.
She was an Altaruk. Did you know?
She was an Altaruk during the earthquake.
Yep. She was hunting. She's a hunter now. If you can believe it.
Not much surprises me. This is a small world, though. Did you two get into it with each other? Did you get your rematch?
Almost. I almost did. She died.
I see.
She was out there hunting, chasing folks with snakes tattooed on them, right? Coaxed me to go down in this tunnel. And I saw the thing rise up in a cave. Boulders sort of falling down from the ceiling. What's his face? The gladiator of Altaruk. Rafik, was it?
Rakish. Rakish
well,
Nimine. Yes.
Old man. Turns out he was a person that turned into a snake. Which I couldn't tell. You know, I had a talk with him. On our way out of, what was it, like 3 gold, 4 gold? Saved us a chunk of change, and at no point in time could I discern that he was a fucking snake person. And some strange ritual, right? That, you know, in this weird dungeon under this tavern of all places with traps is a giant snake. You saw it, just popped out. And I tried to escape. You know, I had a friend in there as well. They got downed. So I had a choice. I had to look after my friend, or I could leave my friend and run into battle with Baru. And I ran from the battle. I picked up my friend. I know that I couldn't stand a chance, and I know that I was weak. And I escaped, but when I escaped, Baru charged in, bought us all time, got us all out. You know, it was just at that moment. She was the better fighter. She had a bigger heart. I didn't believe that for nearly 16, 17 years. We had a tie. I thought I was the better fighter for 17 years, and I was wrong. And it should have been me that died down there. And Baru should be up here. And now the better fighter's dead. I can't get over it.
Orson, Doesn't matter who the better fighter was. Who people call the champion doesn't matter. Not in the end. What are you going to do now? Those creatures, the ones we're trying to fight, I've been fooled by them too. People I trusted, praetors. Praetors. The leaders of Valak. They've infiltrated everywhere. Who knows where else? Kylantes calls them the Yonti. I don't know much about them other than that they are a threat, but not the only threat. Valak, Tyr, Nibene, all of the cities. They have suffered for so long. Under oppression. And what are these snakes but a new oppressor, come to replace the old? We're out here, not just to stop that. Not just to fight, but to change things, Horson. That's what Kylantes believes in. That's what the Veiled Alliance believes in. And even though I've been quiet about it all these years, even though I have sat on my little throne of House Jarko, enjoying my life, basking in wine and music and fighting, I don't know that I will get another chance to make a difference. And just for once, Orson, I think I'd like to know what it's like to feel like a hero instead of a champion. Maybe that's why Baru went down there. Maybe that's why Baru threw her life away so that you could escape. And maybe that is more important than fighting and trying to understand who is better. Maybe that's why we're all out here.
Horson leans to one side and reaches into his belt and pulls out, like by this point it's kind of dried, but the piece of flesh with the snake tattoo on it. Yeah. And he tosses it at him. Study that.
Snatches it out of the air.
You see anything?
I see two snakes coming together, facing each other. Do you see anything?
He stands up. Rolls his shoulder out. You hear a... Yeah. He's gonna use a bonus action to adopt his persona. And he gets this like nasty, nasty grin on his face. Like, I see the dismantling of a whole army of fucking snake people. And in this, all of his muscles tense up, and you can almost feel like a humming through the ground. And with this immense hatred boiling up from his belly and out of his face and his eyes, like the veins are showing in his head. I want to tear limb from limb every last one of those dirty
Motherfuckers I see. If there's one here, I'm gonna sniff him out. And I'm going to dismember him. And if you know, you tell me, and I'll deal with it. You understand?
I'd like to roll an intimidation check and add my
Go
strength
for it.
modifier.
Oh, you're doing social intrigue. Go for it. Yeah.
No, that's a 7.
He stands up with you. He doesn't look angry, but he is just as large as you. And he holds the scrap with a symbol on it up, and he says, "If I find anything, anyone here, Orson, you'll be the first to know. But you're not in this alone, and Baru didn't have to be in it alone either. You have me, and all of the others, and if you're going after anyone, I'll be right at your side, just like the old days. I promise you that, my friend."
Yeah.
He gets up and starts to walk away, and he turns around.
Why'd you have to call in that favor on this?
Because I needed the best.
And he'll turn around and continue walking.
Taruk doesn't follow. He sits back down, smokes from his pipe, and begins to study the etchings, that symbol of the snake cult, as you return to the camp. More conversations are had, and travel continues. And we're going to take a short 5-minute break, and then we're going to return everyone together as we continue our journey to Fort Kalvis and onward. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Get a snack, get a drink, hydrate. We will see you soon. 5 minutes. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Journey to the Obsidian Spire. If you're just joining us, our intrepid band of adventurers has traveled from the village of Alteruk, its ruins, having survived an attack by a snake cult and a gigantic monstrosity, also a snake. And they have traveled onward through the desert towards Fort Kalvis. And that is where we're going to rejoin our story now. After a brief conversation between Taruk and Lord Lucius of House Tsalaxa, the ship, the Desert Drake, and the Elvish runners who have now caught up with the rest of the ship running along the road behind you press forward into the fort proper. The gates are opened for you, and you are able to enter in. You're greeted as you fly very, very carefully beneath the gates, through the gates, by the banner of House Tsalaxa that flies over the gate. The banner's a yellow outline over a black background with two glaring bestial yellow eyes. As the gates swing open, the inside of the fort proves to be a small military-like complex lined with strange merchant stalls on the outside of its barracks and buildings. You can see a small wilting garden kept around the central structure of this fort, which is a tall bell tower in its center. Seems to be crafted entirely of bone, perhaps the bone of some ancient great beast. And as the caravan flies off towards the sort of docking area, passing through customs and doing the normal things, paying off who needs to be paid off, you are all able to depart. Once together again, Taruk and Lord Lucius are heading towards the stalls to do a bit of resupplying and shopping for food and water and other things. You are able to follow them, join them, explore Fort Kalvis, speak to each other. But you are all currently together, along with the teenage wizard, Van, who is tagging along. So why don't we real quick, let's just go around and introduce our characters and what we look like right now, just to jump into things. We'll start with Marilla.
Marilla's wearing what I suppose have become the traveling clothes now, pretty much just defined by what they have that has gotten the most messed up and in need of some slight repairs. Robes per usual, but fairly breathable in this kind of weather. They are a little scrap of a half elf thing, and perhaps just starting to get a bit more freckles from being out in the sun this much.
Okay. But Dia
lost the majority of her clothing when she smashed a giant turtle thing into a giant snake monster and misplaced her shoes earlier in the evening. So she is mostly wearing a rearrangement of scarves that she has. She's abandoned those that were dirtied or ruined. But her familiar one that she's been working on for a while, she's been embroidering while we've been traveling, is kind of pride of place. And she's woven some very simple shoes together, kind of like fantasy flip-flops, and that's her current footwear. Her hair is very golden.
All right. As always. What about Horson?
Horson, still big, still barely clothed. He's got the nice little chunky shoulder piece, and the same head wrap he's been wearing the whole time. Does he change his underpants? I don't know. We're gonna say, for the sake of like cleanliness, yeah. So he's got different leggish garments that he wears, and he's rotated those out. But his eyes are still sunken. He looks very, very tired.
All right. And how about Ebo?
Ebo definitely has bloody clothes, so he has to probably go and people are doing shopping, he's probably going to find some new set of robes, because it's just really off-putting, and he kind of wants to like ditch kind of the old memories of like what just happened and kind of put on some new threads. It doesn't have to be extravagant if that's allowed. So yeah,
just not bloody, right? That's goal number one: less bloody clothing.
Yeah.
Cool. So there are a number of soldiers here, House Tsalaxa mercenaries. They're not as heavily armed as the Ultaruk mercenaries. They don't look like your typical guards. They carry crossbows, and each has a pair of daggers sheathed at their hip. They're just kind of strolling about, casually doing their thing. A couple of them work on processing you in your caravan. And there are merchants as well. The merchants are still filling the stalls. You can see that there's all kinds of goods here: clothes, food, water, some strange things as well. And plenty of opportunities to go shopping or to go looking for people to talk to. House Tsalaxa has a reputation as a house of dealing with thieves guilds. They are professional spies. They are professional assassins. Sometimes they actually have something of a bad reputation. They do the jobs that the other houses don't want to do themselves, and they're often employed by the other houses to do so. But that doesn't mean that they're respected broadly. And in fact, they're not even allowed to do business in Valak itself. They've been outlawed there. But they're still a very dominant house across the rest of the tablelands. And before we go shopping or do whatever else anybody wants to do here during this stop off, let's rejoin Akasha. So Akasha, as you enter into the Fort Kalvis, run by House Tsalaxa, your grandfather and the elvish runners who have caught up with the ship are staying on the ship. They're guarding him, and he is trying to rest. It's been a hard, long couple of days of travel, and through the salt flats, it's very, very hot and exhausting. But everyone else is disembarked to either go shopping or just to look around, and there are shops here. They are currently open. What's Akasha dressing like? What does Akasha look like tonight, and where does she go? You're muted.
Akasha has had a very long day of avoiding her emotions, so she wants to do her favorite thing, and that is to accessorize. So she finds her way off. She goes to pick up a new pair of shoes for her grandfather, and she also picks up 4 new pairs for herself, because 1 for you, 4 for me. And she is trying to be thoughtful of how much space is available within their cabin. So she fails spectacularly and has returned with 2 elf runners and about 15 long holders.
Oh, good. And I imagine like they're strapping warriors, quite strong, but I imagine like even they're a little weighed down by this load as they're returning. So as we all come together, you're all just outside of the caravan. Akasha immediately zipped off to do some preemptive shopping and is already returning from trip number 1. And you all come together in this fort as business is still happening all around you. What do you want to do?
I would like to talk to Dia.
Okay. Privately or around everyone else?
I'd like to speak with her privately, but I would like to get her attention first in the presence of everyone by whispering terribly into her ear.
So I imagine Dia is speaking with Tariq, saying she's going to go and get some more hair oil, so they can follow up on his patchiness, and that's like the conversation that's happening of, I'm going to go and look for this thing.
Okay. And then Akasha approaches.
Yeah.
Oh, Lady Akasha, excuse me. I'll get to shopping. Please enjoy yourselves. Taruk saunters
You
off.
quite well, Lady Akasha?
First of all, how do you stand him? He is absolutely terrible.
Excuse me?
Taruk. He's terrible. He is one of the most singularly awful people that I've ever met in my life, void of personality or any charm whatsoever. So I just don't understand how you can have a continued conversation with him and keep your wits about you, unless you are a really good performer.
I have exceptional practice with questionable conversations.
Was that? Did you? You know, I really like you.
Why is that?
I just feel as if you and I have this amazing connection. Like, we were meant to be cohorts, co-workers, friends, servant master,
Sisters.
whatever your thing is.
I see. Is that what you are into, my lady?
Depends on the day. I guess my main concern is you are, what's the word I'm looking for? You're you have this like
honest
thing that you do that, but not so much that, just sort of lacking in tact, which I am extremely proficient in being tactful, as one must do. But how do we fix this?
I thought our previous discussion went rather well. I was truthful with you, gave the advice that you'd asked for, answered a question honestly. Were you not pleased with the outcome of our discourse?
Well, you see, it's just that
My lady, why don't you come with me shopping? I can show you where I get my hair oil. You've expressed an interest in it before. And we can maybe discuss a commission. A potential Caesar needs artwork, do they not? Show themselves to the people in the most refined and elegant light, in all the colours of their character, so to speak.
oh dear. I find you quite intriguing as a person. And I feel Akasha doesn't speak well for what I'd like to convey with us potentially working together.
Do go on.
There's something I feel is different about you. You see things further than a surface level.
It has been my profession for a long time.
Tell me, what are your thoughts of Akasha of House Tsalaxa?
Unprepared.
How do we fix this?
Well, many things begin with an underpainting. Something that you never see in the finished piece, but it colours and tones everything that comes afterwards. You are still an underpainting. Who you will be could be very interesting. But it will take work. And work with a skilled hand. What you choose to express in the final piece is very important. Because that is what people will see. That is what people will remember. But you cannot change that underpainting once it is laid down.
I really expected better of you.
What did you expect, Akasha?
Here's that name again.
Do you prefer another?
We'll discuss that later. For the moment, I ask that I would take it with the winning side, but I'm pretty sure you will align yourself with whatever puts you in the better position. So, just know that we're ready to talk whenever you are.
If we are to be friends, why don't you tell me which is the losing side? Because if there is a winning side, then surely there is a loser.
Where are you getting hair oil? Do you need that much oil for your hair? Is that a thing that you do? Is this just...
Every day I find it keeps things looking at the best they can. Sun can do a lot of damage.
So you put effort into this whole thing?
I am sorry if I am not to your standard. Journey has
Oh no,
been
I think you're great. You're great. You're great. We've been on the road. Everyone's on the road. You know what? I've got some things that I need to do. Thank you for I can't remember quite what we talked about, but it was really great talking to you, and I'm gonna go and check on my grandfather. So Dia. And she's gonna grab Dia in the biggest hug and just like overwhelm her and then just walk off.
Akasha, can I offer you some advice if we're to be friends? And she'll hold out both of her hands to invite the woman back towards her. And she'll bring her back in close and lean in to whisper in her ear. I would keep Lord Lucius away from your grandfather if you value him. I have seen your love. And he is important. That could make the difference between a masterpiece and something destined to be hidden behind a rag.
Thanks for your advice.
I'll help, Akasha, if I can. Don't let me keep you from your business. Sounded very important.
Yeah?
My lady?
I'm going to approach Horson.
Okay. Olsen, how are you holding up? The last time we were, together, it was a perilous time.
It was.
I'm kind of thirsty. Thinking about grabbing whatever they got on tap at the local watering hole. Would you care to accompany me?
But of course, yeah, let's go.
And then he'll look over at Marilla. I didn't want to leave you out. You're welcome to join if you like.
Oh, I look,
And he'll gesture with his hand to Van, who's also there. I guess you too.
Oh yes.
Hi, I'm Van.
Hello. Shall we then?
And I will like kind of the older person escorting the group, if they will, to kind of go to a watering hole, a local watering hole.
Okay. Van kind of shoots a side look to Marilla and gives them the shrug of the shoulders, like, "Do you want to go with them?"
Marilla's being pulled along sort of by the social center of gravity, if nothing else, but seems to have some reluctance, as if remembering the last time they went to a watering hole.
That's fair. Well, if Marilla appears to be going on, then Van looks sort of nervous. Horson's really big, and he doesn't really know these people, and the servants that he had been working with, they were all sent away. So he's sort of like House Tsalaxa now is down to Van, Marilla, and Lord Lucius. But he dusts himself off, and he kind of follows along as well, and just says, "Don't worry."
I grab his hand and pull him along real quick, but only for a few steps.
Oh. Thank you. I mean, that's good. That's fine.
Come with us. If you'd
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And
We're coming.
And so with Ebo like leaving, Horson will like walk back over. Sorry if we have not met. I'm Horson, and puts his hand out to shake in front of Van.
Remember,
Hi.
he's the one who's been training me with weapons. And Horson, this is my Van.
Your Van, is it?
I'm her Van. Well, I am Van. I'm Van. That's my name. Nice to meet you, Horson.
Nice to meet you. Do you drink?
I never have before, but I enjoy company.
That's a
Good
start.
company. I don't really know anybody else here, so I'm just gonna go with them. Wherever they go, I go. If that's okay with you. I won't be too much of a bother. I don't even have to talk.
And he'll start walking towards where Ebo's head is. Like, yeah, come join the circus.
Yes, you're more than welcome, and I am quite alone myself. So more company is quite better.
The four of you go off to, I guess, what would be like to call it a tavern isn't quite right. This is a military compound, a small military compound. Fort Kalvis houses maybe 100 individuals. Only a quarter of them, actual fighters of any sorts, guards of any sorts. The rest are merchants or other individuals with other employment. And the watering hole is really just sort of a hole in the wall, not even a bar. There are a number of large barrels you can see through the door and through the windows set out that people can tap from and then sit down at these long benches. And the benches and the way people are sitting inside, one person sits at a bench, there's no table. Another person sits at a bench on the other side of them, and they face each other that way so that they're crossed from each other. And as you sort of approach Ebo, the front of this building, a large, broad-shouldered Maul steps outside and swings his head down through the door frame, and he crosses his arms and just sort of pats the blade on his side as he looks down to you, and he says, "Welcome. Do you intend to drink tonight here with us?"
Oh, quite certainly.
"And are you aware of our prices?"
No, I am not aware.
Ah, well, it can seem strange at first to those who are not used to it. We will not accept coin. We here barter in secrets. You can offer me a secret, one you think is an appropriate price for your time and patronage, and I can accept or I can deny, and you go on your way. Is that agreeable?
I look at the rest of the group. I don't know if he's projecting enough to the rest of the group. Just to like see if I get any gestures or head nods.
Yeah, I'd say he's speaking loud enough that everyone can hear. Van bobs his head.
Well, I am quite old, so I have a secret or two I can share.
Allow me to do you a favor, of course, because if you are to shop here or purchase other sorts of things here, it is good for you to know. Do not give me your best secret, please. This is just a drink. Something you believe is appropriate.
Oh, quite okay. I have learned how to grow things quite successfully. More so than any other place.
Really? And where are you from, my friend?
One secret at a time.
Well, this is part of the secret, of course. What good is it for me to know that you grow so well if I do not know where you grow?
You said one secret. He gave you one secret. Let him in.
And what is your secret?
I'm half a second from tearing you limb from limb.
He considers it for a long moment. Roll me an intimidation check.
I don't suppose I can slip into persona and add strength bonus to this intimidation check?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the point of being your class if you can't use it?
That's a 23.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he tries to play it off, but you can see that he's sweating a little bit. He's fairly thin for a mole. He's not built like a gladiator, and he's very athletic and strong, but you know in this moment that you have this person if you needed to. But he plays it off and he says, "I like your creativity. Please, I did not mean to offend you. This is just how we do business here. Others will ask the same if you wish to purchase anything else. Come in, the two of you. Please, enjoy yourself."
And Horson will slip through and then take a gander back to Marilyn to see if they're okay.
I do the same.
Marilla has been backpedaling. Very just waves of discomfort at hearing this cover charge. Just dripping off of them. I don't think they're being particularly subtle about it.
We'll say that the mall and Van is, sees that and he's following them. And the mall just sort of calls out, not too loud, just enough that they can hear. Do not be so nervous. It is all right. You do not have to share our secrets here if you do not want. It is just a cost. And your choice to make, my friend.
So, does that mean you can't purchase anything here if you don't have any, good secrets or anything?
That is the case, I'm afraid. House Tsalaxa, we deal in information, and information is more valuable than coin.
Right. So then everything here is very expensive, isn't it?
Some more than others. We have a certain way of acquiring things that are rare in this world, and often worth a good secret.
Like what?
Well, if you are interested, please stop by the stalls, ask the merchants. They will be happy to show you. Imagine whatever it is you want, and there's at least some chance we might have it or something similar.
But this seems like such a small town.
It is small in population, but we keep stores beneath the earth. You cannot pass from Tyr or Balak to Golg and Nibene without coming through Fort Kalvis. And along the way come many interesting things people trade. And secrets too.
I imagine.
Marilla, if I may.
I just poke my head.
Yes.
Yeah. We have this game called back in my village called Two Fibs and a Lie. Maybe you can trade a secret that way.
And I kind of look at the bodyguard or the bouncer, and I say to him,
"Now, doesn't that sound like fun? Yeah, you have to figure out the secret. Such short lives may have not as much secrets. So, it's one secret may appear very big. So you said small secrets. One may not always have small secrets.
And I'm trying to, I don't know if I can use, if this is a intrigue thing, but I'm going to try and use my intellect by telling him, think of how old this person is. Maybe they don't have as much secrets as one might have, and the one that they have.
You can't break a 20 of secrets.
You can't break. So let's see, you have, let's call this, you're trying to use your savvy, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, roll me a persuasion check and add your politics modifier to it.
Would I be able to assist? Would I be able to assist that at all? With, my presence or an intimidating stare?
Let's see how it goes first.
Okay, all right.
As a backup, yeah.
Can he use his athletics for this? Okay, let's
use athletics.
18 plus
7.
4, 22. Right? Because savvy is the politics, which is in intellect, if I'm correct?
It's religion. It's your religion score. Yeah, because we use religion as politics since there's
it's
no
still 4.
Pantheon.
Sorry,
so
7 plus
22.
7. So 25 rather.
I mean, they're both really good. He kind of leans back and he says, I've made deals like this before. Well, if the game is fun enough and the options are fun enough, I'm happy to play. I understand. What do you have?
All right. Fun. Fun. All right. 2 fibs and a lie. I'm afraid of heights. I am my father's favorite child, and I can speak bird.
And how is this game played? He looks to Ebo. Do I guess? And do they tell me if I am right? What happens next?
Well, you love information, correct? And you love to use these secrets, on people? Well, do your best guess, and, try and figure that one out.
I am pretty certain that I know which one is the fib. But since you gave me 2 truths, and that is more than most, I am happy to let you in. I hope you enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
It is you do not actually speak bird, correct? Yeah, you do not have to tell me. I know you do not speak bird.
Of course.
And I like take Marilla, I take them like by the back of the shoulder blade, like my hand right there gently, and I like usher them in before there's more interaction of this like big creepy bouncer and Marilla.
Lots of gratitude, but Marilla just lingers for a moment to hear Van's cover charge.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just you feel a little bit of pressure of hesitation into that hand that you're guiding me with, sort of over the shoulder.
Van kind of approaches sheepishly and sort of rubs the back of his neck and leans in close, and he asks first, like, do you tell this to other people? Like, is this just a secret for you? And you hear the guard respond, anything you tell me is told to House Tsalaxa. That is how this works. That is how we gain information. But please, do not feel so much pressure. Certainly you have a small secret you can share. Van looks very, very nervous, and then he blurts out very suddenly, Caesar killed my father. And there's just a long quiet between the guard and Van, and the guard very slowly steps aside from the door and lowers his head and says, "Then my condolences. Please, come in. Enjoy yourself." And Van does. Yeah?
Horson will go up to the group after they're all in, and he'll be like, all right, sweet or strong? Your choice.
I would like the sweet, please.
Strong.
One sweet. One strong.
Sweet. He swallows the word sweet, and when he hears Marilla say strong, and I guess strong.
Very strong. One sweet. Coming up, take a seat, and Horson will cozy up to the bar.
And it's just a couple of large barrels. There's no bartender. You serve yourself. You get the cups yourself. And then there's benches for everyone to sit down on. No tables. Cool.
Marilla takes a position where they can see the angles of the room. Again, as if they've been in a tavern before recently. just a little, honestly, a little bit jumpy.
Sure.
But they lean over just very quickly to Van and mutter, "I didn't know that."
It's okay.
Sorry I never asked.
It's all right. I was always afraid to say. Doesn't matter now.
You shouldn't be afraid of telling me things. Thank you for helping me, Ebo.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I see Marilla kind of like trying to like your eyes a little dodgy, like trying to make sure that we're like safe.
Yeah, no worries there, Marilla. Now that we've given them a secret, we're not very useful to them, dead, if that is of any, comfort.
I guess.
Yes.
I don't.
I will raise a glass to Marilla, just to like.
All right.
The horse
Is
comes
that really
back
what
with
traveling's like?
Like what? Excuse me?
You know, murder. Hi, Horson.
You guys got drinks? Well, here's two, so I guess we're getting in this. Here, here's yours. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
You guys know any toasts? I got a backup one if you don't.
Most of the ones I've learned are about hailing Caesar.
Van, number one, don't drink until you toast. That's a rule.
Oh, I'm sorry. My first time.
Well, I remember my first time, no big deal. But he puts his hand with the drink into the center of where they're all sitting. To pain.
Pain, yes.
Pain, I suppose.
Come on, strong. You hold it strong. We cheer strong.
Pain.
Pain.
Horson downs his whole drink.
It's strong.
You'll get used to it, certainly. Maybe sometime, start with the sweet.
I'm grabbing another. Anyone else want one?
I think I'll take my time with this one. Thank you.
I can get you sweet. You can mix it in there.
No. I'll get used to it. It's good.
All right.
I really like
Maybe
it a lot.
And then Horson will walk over, fill up his cup, come back down, and sits.
So, how, me and Horson,
I look to you to see if you're like okay with me sharing your story, because that was the original purpose of us coming to the bar.
me and Horson got in the thick of it. Seems like after we saw you, Marilla, Van, that you were kind of shook as well.
It did. What happened down there? I heard you were below the earth or something?
Correct. Yes.
How
Not
did you
for
go
very
there?
long.
Why?
We were in pursuit of, those snake, individuals.
Did you catch them?
We made, some quick work out of some, and some, were a little bit too large for us to handle at the moment.
I saw at least one snake that was quite large, yes.
I believe that.
How are you supposed to fight that?
I have no idea.
Sorry, Ebo, you were... I interrupted this. It's my bad.
Oh, no. All I was going to say was, I believe that was the same big snake that we saw. But however, continue, Orson. I'm happy to listen.
I really didn't... I didn't have anything of value. You can see his body start. He gets weird. He's acting not horsey. He's averting everyone's gaze and he's looking into his drink.
Well, that is being correct. Well, let us enjoy our drinks, possibly, and maybe talk about our experiences some other time then.
We're all here, right? I mean, we can live in the moment, can't we? I mean, as far as spending your time somewhere, this is pretty much as fucked up as it can get.
Is that what living in the moment looks like, Orson?
Yeah. I mean, I'm torn between wanting to be here and not wanting to be here at all. I've feeling ripped apart, honestly, with love fueling one thing and hate fueling another. And I can't choose, so...
Love. If you can, always choose love.
If you can.
I would agree with Marilla that most of the time love is indeed the path. Hate, however, can seem comforting at first. However, given time, it is quite hard to fall back on the path of love. That is.
You want another? Is
I probably better not. I'm, not quite as large as you. I wouldn't want to make a fool of myself.
It's a process. There's a certain number of times you're supposed to make a fool of yourself until you can handle this.
Really?
Yeah. I've got about 30 in the bag.
Fools?
In a matter of speaking. Listen, I'm gonna go up. Hand me a glass. You can stop me, but I'm gonna grab another.
Sweet.
He got it.
Sweet for me too, if you don't mind.
All right. And then, Ebo.
I just hand him my glass or the what we're drinking out of.
All right. Here it is. And
he'll go and refill. He's kind of like losing track of what's what. So he thinks he's doing 3 sweets and a strong. And what he brings back might be that.
Okay. We'll
The
roll
dice
for
should
it.
tell us.
Bill, while you're up and about and you're able to kind of mingle and press through other groups, individuals who are having these hushed conversations, usually facing each other and leaning in, drinking, and just conversing with each other. Just rows of these individuals on benches. Roll me a perception check.
19.
Oh, okay. So you overhear the starts of a variety of different conversations, and I'm going to let you choose 2 that you can kind of like listen in on and get a little bit more information about. You hear conversations about snake cults, something about snake cults. You hear conversations about the movements of the city-state Tyr and the city-state Uric. You hear conversation about some sort of conflict between House Tsalaxa and House Wavir. You hear a conversation about a falling star that crashed into the Crescent Forest. And you hear a conversation, snippets about the House Tomblador Navy, led by High Praetor Praxis. So which of those 2 conversations do you want to try to like slow down and learn a little bit more about?
Which of those 2? I'll say definitely the snake cults, just from a guttural, emotional response, will be the top one. If you can listen into 2, Tomblador would be number 2.
Okay. You overhear a conversation between a person who you recognize the identification, the sigil on their leather armor, identifies them as a hunter for House Tsalaxa, an assassin. And it's with a robed individual wearing this red robe, an older man. And from that conversation, as you're slowing down to listen in, you learn that House Tsalaxa has already eradicated a snake cult here in Fort Kalvis just less than a week ago. They rooted it up. It was something of a little bit of a witch hunt, but they feel determined that they have removed the shapeshifter who was leading the cult. They also mentioned that the cult is taking hold throughout the region, particularly in small villages where there's not a lot of organization or ability to kind of root these things out and find them. But they're spreading. House Tomblador. This is a conversation between another robed individual, in this case a younger person who has their robe kept over their face. You can barely see their features. And man who is dressed in the heraldry of one of the House Tomblador Navy. And he is reporting to this robed individual. And what you overhear is that the House Tomblador Navy, led by High Praetor Praxis, has reached an island in the northern Silt Sea called Shulp, and believes that Caesar is there and still alive. The Navyman also says that the reports are that High Praetor Praxis not only believes that Caesar is on this island, but that this island is the origin of all of these snake cults that are appearing in the region. And that the communication received anticipated heavy fighting on the island itself between the snake cult or whomever is controlling the island and the House Tomblador Navy. You overhear these on your way to get drinks and then return to the group.
So then Horson, he wants to do like a mental snapshot of all the people having these conversations, if possible. So, but like, as he's like walking back, he'll like look and then snapshot. So like he could try to attempt to pick them out in the crowd while seeming nonchalant.
I won't make you roll for that.
Okay. And then because he's so focused on that, he'll come back to the group and just hand out the drinks that he thinks are sweet and strong. The only way to find out is by the reaction of the person who got the strong.
Are you playing Fantasy Ring of Fire right now?
Yeah.
I mean, we've all got our kinks.
So should we like do a roll high, or like whoever rolls lowest, or like something like that?
I think so, yeah. Let's do roll 1d100, and whoever rolls lowest gets the strong.
I mean,
love it.
No one can beat me. Charlie knows one thing: no one can beat me in low rolls.
I messed it up.
67.
I have a 12.
40.
What did Van roll?
50.
Van rolled a 59. So, Evo, you get the strong, and
I messed up.
Hey, dude, make it strong, yeah.
You want to switch? I already drank out of this one. You want to switch?
No, perfectly fine. Something to experience, I suppose.
And you see like a kind of shift in attitude. It's like Ebo seems more passionate or like jovial or like happy.
Hey. Yeah, all right. Cool. So, we're all here. Loosening up a little bit. Feels good. Feels nice.
Did you have any plans while you were here? Any of you?
At some point I'm going to get a change of robes. As you can see, they are quite dirty with well, you know that I was in that bar, so.
Well, if you would like to hand those off, we'd be more than happy to launder them for you. I'm very, very good at getting stains out.
Oh, I would quite appreciate it, yes.
You're a really good fighter, too. I look over at Marilla. I say, Chef Short, laundry and fighting is like the top two. And laundry, fighting, and sneaking. That's 3.
That's pretty much my whole portfolio. Don't know how much they really help for, being lux of a noble house, but they're good for keeping it, I suppose.
I suppose.
the door to the drinking room opens up and the guard steps aside, and a number of House Tsalaxa agents step in, led by a figure wearing a mask and a hood over their head, slightly nicer armor, slimmer figure. And all of the agents within the drinking hole, they either stand up or they sit up and they raise their glasses as this group enters, and then slam them down on their knees or on the bench next to them, and they drink. And as this group moves further into the room, I want to cut across back to Dia. Dia, After Lady Akasha returns to her grandfather after your conversation, where's Dia going? What's Dia doing?
I think Dia does as she said to begin with and goes in search of hair oil. She's running out and she needs more, plus she promised it to Taruk. I think she would linger near Taruk and Lucius as far as she could through the market, but if it becomes clear they're like going off to do their own thing, she'll begin to move away. Knowing that this is the place it is, I think she's pulled the dagger out that she collected on the first night, because things that are lost and found should be returned to their rightful owners, really. It's only polite.
And you can tell that Taruk and Lucius, they're going about getting supplies. They're not communicating with each other. Even though they're moving about, they're not speaking to each other. They barely look at each other. And you find yourself among a number of stalls, all different kinds of items here. As you draw the dagger out, there's one dwarf who kind of leans forward over his stall and looks up at you. Did you come by that honestly?
Most honestly. Fell from the sky.
Are you looking to barter or to trade, or are you just looking?
Oh, this one needs to be returned, but if you're interested in weaponry, she'll reach into the folds and she'll pull out the 2 obsidian daggers that she took from Al Taruk during the run through the debris and stuff. And she'll lay them down side by side.
Interesting. I'll be honest, we don't trade here in typical barter or coin. We trade in secrets.
Well, doubt you have any of those that would be of interest to me. And she reaches out to remove the daggers.
I might.
Well, there are 2 daggers that I need to put away. You have until then to convince me. She reaches out for the first one, takes it up.
He reaches out for the second dagger and just gently places his hand over top of it and turns it so that it's sideways, not pointing to you, not pointing back at him. And he says, "What is it you're looking for? Perhaps I can help you find it."
Well, I'm always interested in local politics. And her eyes are going to follow the direction the dagger tip is pointing towards. See if there's something she's being shown, because a dagger is a lot like an arrow.
It is. It is pointing directly towards the bone bell tower in the center of this fort. He smiles a little bit. He says, "There's a man here. We call him Kargash. He's something of the leader of our fort. He is the expert in local politics, and all politics, really. It's his job to know everything. Would you be interested in speaking with him?"
Yes, I would.
Well, I can arrange that. That's not a problem. Of course, I am going to need a secret as your payment. Something of equal value to what I'm offering, which is a blank check.
Is that what you think it is?
Kargash is the best at what he does.
Then I will offer you this secret. So am I.
The secret that I'm interested in is, what is it that you do that you're the best at?
What is it that I do that I'm the best at? I'm an artist. Create things, beautiful things, elaborate things. She'll kind of indicate the lantern, which I think is kind of strapped semi-awkwardly to her side. It's a little bit too large, really, to be a strapped lantern, but she needs free hands. But my real gift is weaving. I make truly beautiful things when I weave. And she'll present the scarf that's around her neck, which is elaborately embroidered, but the base scarf itself is a colorful weave of different textures, and I think as it moves slightly in the light that's here, there's kind of an iridescence to it almost, which hints at something else about it.
Roll me a perception check.
Sure will. Oh wait, I closed roll 20. I'm now Michael. My name is Michael. I was prepared. And I am prepared.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
what should I now roll like you, friend? What should I now roll like you? Alright.
He leans back as you sort of show these items and you share your secret. And he whispers something quietly under his breath, and he covers his hands over his mouth a little bit. Let me know what your perception check is.
Alright, well that would be a 23 if I'd rolled perception, not performance.
You rolled a natural 20, yeah.
Yeah, can I have that and not have to re-roll to roll with the right stat?
Of course, yeah. I'm not going to take your natural 20 away from you. You don't know the words, but you recognize the combination of the words and the hand gesture. It is a spell that he casts very, very subtly. He leans back. You don't see any indication of what the spell is. He says, "That is a very good secret. Here." He reaches underneath his table, takes something out and places it on top. And you can see that it's a stone sigil, sort of sun of sorts that's been painted black with yellow outlines. And in the center of it is two bestial eyes. He slides it across to you and he says, "If you take that and you place it in the door, then the door will open and they will know that you have paid the price to speak with Kargash. He's an interesting fellow. I've met with him a couple of times myself. I always walk away feeling enlightened."
Well, if I walk away feeling the same, I'll be sure to return here and pay you a tip for your advice.
Tips are always appreciated.
In all professions. You can keep that dagger. I have little use for it. Crude thing.
Thank you. I will. It'll be worth a secret later. He shoves it underneath the desk.
I imagine it will. Should you ever see one, then you'll know that person bears a secret.
He just sort of smiles gently.
Dangerous one. And she'll turn and she's gonna proceed towards that tower, leaving the second dagger pointing in that direction as she goes. Oh wait, no, he put it away, that's right. Yeah, she'll just walk away. But I think she's still got the Return to Sender dagger in her hand with its mark of snake and eyes and things.
You progress through to this path that leads through a little wilted garden in the center of this fort. The bone tower that stretches up. It has open windows at the top. There is what looks like hanging from the inside, some sort of bell. Maybe it's made out of some kind of stone. and it has a rope and a large piece of obsidian that hunkers down to the center of it. And as you approach the tower, do you place the symbol into the door? There is a place for it.
She pauses and she wraps that scarf a little tighter around her. Her free hand, not gripping the sun emblem, is resting on the lantern. And then she'll reach out and she'll put the emblem in place.
As you reach out and put the emblem in place, two things happen. The bell at the top of the tower begins to sway back and forth and begins to ring. A strange sound because it's not metal on metal, it's stone on stone, but it still echoes out throughout the fortress. The door creaks open inward, and inside you see a large table with a pair of chairs sitting at one end on the opposite side of a lantern, looking up at you, an ancient-looking human. Older looking than Lord Atlas or even Evo, but certainly human, wearing a yellow robe with streaks of yellow painted across his face. And he smiles up at you, his face, his lips peeling back into a grimace, wrinkles folding all over every visible part of his features. And he waves for you to enter.
I'm told we have much to discuss. She'll cross the threshold to that chair.
As you step in with the lantern in your hand, you haven't noticed yet, but its flame is flickering and changing color from yellow to blue, begins to push against the edge of the lantern like it wants to escape. And as you step in, the robed old figure sitting on the other side circles his hands around, and the door slides gently closed behind you. And he smiles again, that grimace, and says, "Yes, yes, we most certainly do." And that's where we're going to end our session tonight. Yay.
Yay.
All right.
Great session, friends. I loved all of the scenes today. I loved all the role playing, everybody's characters. I just my heart is really, really full right now. I can just watch you all talk and play your characters forever, which is an amazing feeling to feel at the end of a game of D&D. So thank you for that. Thank you to everyone in chat who hung out tonight. To our moderators and everybody who's working to help us keep the community safe, talk about the game, spread the word on social media and other places. Thank you. We couldn't be here without you. Couldn't be here without our sponsors, Dark Dice, Level Up Dice, Wormwood Gaming. If you want to help us out and help us keep doing and telling the stories that we're making, then please go check out our sponsors. Buy their things. They make amazing things that you will love if you can afford it. If not, then just let us know what you like about the show. Let us know if there's a moment that touched you or made you laugh. It goes a long way. It fills our hearts, and I know we always look forward to it. But that's all from me right now. I want to go around and let everybody talk a little bit about themselves, what they're excited about, and where we can find them online. And let's start with Christina. Hi, Christina.
Christina's unmuted. Hi, my name's Christina Ariel. I had so much fun today. It was just I was really in it. It's really fun.
Yeah, you were.
Really excited about it. Yes. Again, I'm Christina Ariel. You can find me on the internet at Christina Ariel on Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff. And just type my name in and see if the picture matches me. So that's a thing. You can catch me on Wednesdays as Bob on Pirates of Leviathan. You can also catch me on Into the Motherland starting October 4th. So that's exciting. Yeah. stuff, things, internet. Look me up, find out when it is, support it, and be friends.
Definitely check out everything Christina and everybody's doing. Some amazing, amazing projects all around the TTRPG community and elsewhere. And they're just great people. So if you follow them, then your life is just going to be better. It just is. Loved all of the scenes with Akasha today. I thought the scene with the grandfather I really enjoyed, but then the scene with Dia, and just like the energy there, super, super cool. I really loved watching all of that, and I just think it just made my day. It made my day.
Big Cersei and Daenerys energy, but who is who?
Right?
Oh yeah, for real.
And do they even know who is who? Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Let's go down to Bill. Hi, Bill.
Hey, man, that fucking I'm gonna swear a lot. So if you don't like swearing, just turn the volume down for a bit. But this was a fucking masterclass in how you do shit on the internet. Thanks, Cord. Everybody, look, go back, watch the video, and while these important scenes are going on, look at my dumbass face and see how it's reacting to everyone else doing awesome shit. It was just amazing. In a more professional manner, I'm the director of business development at LFM. I can understand if you don't want to do business with us anymore after my stupid mouth talks. But we have a lot of stuff. And I want to thank you guys, first off, for watching, engaging in chat, watching the YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. And then also, Don mentioned supporting our folks. Support our folks, please. It helps us out a lot. Also, on our Discord, if you want to play Dark Sun in 5th edition, there's access to a Discord server called Swords and Sandals on there that is running Dark Sun in 5th edition all the time. And it is an awesome community. Highly recommend you join it and poke around, see what's going on down there. It's great. Follow all these people doing all their amazing things. This is top tier stuff. You're not gonna. These folks are at the top. They're the cream of the crop. That rhymed. I didn't intend. Anyways, if you like internet stuff, follow me at Bill of the Forest. If you don't, you're probably better for that. That's it.
Definitely check out Bill. Bill's a fantastic human being, and also loved getting to see Horson. Just that. First of all, I loved the love and hate speech. I loved it, but I also loved seeing Horson get mad, really mad. I thought that was, it was cool. I really liked seeing it a lot, and I'm very interested in how his character is changing. Very recently, and it's a big shift. I'm excited to see how that plays out as we go into the future. And just following up with what Bill said too, if you want to play Dark Sun in 5th edition, it's not been released officially yet, but there are great internet communities out there who have, and homebrew, brilliant designers who have brought it to 5th edition. There's enough out there from a bunch of different people that you could play Dark Sun in 5th edition if you wanted to. Check out the Discord he talked about is a great one. There's also athos.org, which has been running since 1995, and just a ton of information about the lore and the world. It's huge, and there's so much there. We get to dig a little bit into it, but we could never dig into all of it. There's just so much there. So if you're liking the world, it's out there for you to check out. I highly encourage it. But let's go down to Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hi. Someday, Marilla will comfortably say complete sentences. Not today, but someday. Sometimes they're very good at it, but weirdly not around Van. Or their father. That's so weird. This was a blast. I love this game every single week. It's so much fun, and these people are so good, and you're so good, and you're doing terrible things to us, and I would like to be mad about that, but also you're lovely, so it's hard to be mad at that, and really, Dawn, I'm just sitting in a lot of conflict right now. A lot of conflict. And no complete sentences.
I'll take it.
That's me.
I enjoyed the first scene a lot today. I like the like trail my father scene. What is he getting himself into? I thought was really cool.
Tension, sir. How dare you? Thank you. You're a lot of fun.
Same.
You're very good at being a lot of people.
Oh. So tell me, what is it? So because I'm curious about Marilla too. They've gone on such a huge kind of journey. What is it that you're most looking forward to, like in the next session or two? Is there like something that you're like, I'm really excited about this thing that might happen, or that's in my head?
Can we even talk about secret things? No, I really want to start kicking some secrets down. We have plenty of dramatic irony. We all know lots of things as audience and as players and as GM. And what if the characters knew some of those things? No, not all of those things, gentle audience, but what if they knew some? Ideally, the things characters wouldn't want to be known. We'll see. So I'm looking forward to kicking over some buckets.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we keep getting there with a couple of characters. Like Marilla and Ebo will talk about the arcane stuff that Ebo clearly does, and Marilla doesn't do because there's no evidence of that. Thank you, stealth check.
Where else can we find you? What else are you up to? What do you want everybody to know about you?
Oh gosh, what I want you all to know about me is that I meant it. What you're thinking about, what I did, I intended it with my whole heart. And if you want to see more things that I have done, and yet continually innocent of all crimes, you can find me throughout the Twitchernet, doing personal and RPG streaming. My schedule for that stuff is on twitch.tv/Delevely, DELEVELY. That's updated every week because I can get exactly one piece of my life organized, so we're making it that. Go find out what I'm doing on the Twitchernet. And enjoy some streams. I might also be stealthy in other parts of the internet, like when I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn and sneaking around through the grass, and you just be very sneaky and you can like gank the Robodinos. Is great. It's very on brand.
Very on brand. Awesome. Cool. Well, let's go talk to Michael. Hi, Michael.
Yo, what up? What up, though?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It was a good time. Being able to like get Ebo starting to connect with all these characters little by little, like me and Horson, done stuff with me and Akasha, and trying to like figure out, break Marilla's shy shell, break their shell. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And then I don't know, the conversation eventually between Ebo and Dia is gonna be very interesting. I wonder where that's gonna go. So stuff to look forward to. But yeah, Ebo getting himself in all sorts of trouble today by talking to Taruk. So, we'll see how that unfolds.
That was the conversation I didn't know I needed to have happen, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sometimes I just support DMs and I just throw caution to the wind. So,
I appreciate that about you.
You're welcome.
How about for Ebo? I want to pose the same question for you that I posed for Sam. Is there something in the next episode or two that like you feel really eager about?
Yeah, like I said, like interacting with Sam's character Marilla, talking to them, because I think the magicking should happen, and I think that's gonna be pretty cool.
I think so too. I think it'll be a very cool conversation. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We almost got there today. Maybe in future.
It was so close. Well, you're still in the tavern, and
it's true.
It was only a fake group of snake cultists coming in. They weren't snake cultists, so we'll still have more chances to conversate.
Are you trying to ensure that Marilyn never has a drink in, like, a public house again? Because you're doing the work, my friend.
But yeah, so for, like, I guess where people can find me, Michael Crit's basically everywhere. You can Google that, because I just did, and it's crazy how much stuff there is, so that's kind of crazy and weird. And then, you can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MichaelCrits, where I play lots and lots of Magic the Gathering and try and get better, because, you just got to keep making mistakes until you get better at the game. And going to probably do some tournaments here. I want to be more on the grinding side of tournaments, and you'll probably see my schedule change to maybe early mornings because I'm going to school. So just look out for that. Just look at my tweets for all the information about Magic the Gathering stuff and anything and everything I have got going on.
Yeah, please do check out Michael's Magic the Gathering streams for sure. His other TTRPG stuff as well. Michael's a great streamer, and if you enjoy Magic, it's a great way to watch and learn. And your podcast as well. I've gotten to listen to a few of the more recent episodes too, and it's cool, man. I like it a lot.
Podcast Fae Forge Academy. Go follow that. I play a much not as crazy, secretive, bloody. I don't play like this bloody old man. I play like this very precious, shiny, celestial, black boy who's an awesome warlock. So check that out so you can see the other side of my role playing.
Yes, please do. Awesome. Let's go to Charlie, last but not least. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Hi, Don. I'm good. I see you, friend. I see you. The cast tinfoil on this show is strong as of tonight. The amount of theory we have going on in behind scenes chat, and also I'm not gonna share that, but I have schemes against certain NPCs that have been in place since episode 2, and I will see them through. And also Dia has schemes, and she will also see those through. There aren't meta schemes, no. I had a blast tonight. I love getting to have Christina as a scene partner, and man, she flipped that switch, and Dia was like, "What? You know what? All right, I see you. All right." I love getting to be sassy to everyone. It's best.
I know you do.
And I will eventually actually get shanked for it, but not tonight, apparently. I also love every time Dia gets close to a magic user, her hand lantern thing starts going nuts, and I'm like, "Tell me, oh magic detector, where is it? Where is it?" Spoiler alert, my lantern is not actually a magic detector, but apparently that is an alternate use. Highly recommend picking one up. It's only weekly installments and $99.99 from LFM Network. But I did hear if you trade your soul with Jonathan Fry, you can also get one that way. That's super exciting. You can find me at Encounter Roleplay. I play a bunch of games. But oof, this one is getting good. I want to talk to so many people, and I don't think Taruk is Taruk. There's something going on. It's making me uncomfortable because he is my favorite NPC. And don't take that away from me, Don. You will. Never mind. Forget I said it. Take it away. I don't want it. Don't want it. Don't like him. He's horrible.
I only want the best for you in your character. Like that. Did that sound convincing?
Do you want to take another run at that one? Do you want to try again?
No, I'll just leave.
Ever just watch someone flop a deception check in real time?
Bro, I'm gifting the shit out of that. It'll be all over the internet. You're
Perfect.
welcome.
Yay. We famous. Thank you. Definitely check out Encounter Roleplay, all of their amazing work, and Charlie's work in the community as well. As I said, you could do no better than to follow all these people. They are all amazing. As for me, I am at Jonathan Fry on Twitter. I write games and run games, quite a lot of them. If you're interested in that, you can follow me. That's where I am. But otherwise, I'm the creative director here at LFM Network. We have a bunch of shows going on right now. Check them all out. Degrees of Madness on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. And then our other Dark Sun campaign, which has a lot of more and more every single week. More things are crossing over between the campaigns. And Chris and I are working a lot to make sure that the decisions that one group makes somehow find a way to impact the other group as much as we can. You're going to be seeing more crossover there. So if you like this story and you haven't checked out Tales from the Silt Expanse, it is running on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and noon Pacific Time. Check that out as well. I play a half giant in it, and I smash things. I like smashing things. That's all. That's all for me. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to be back with you again next week. Bye-bye.